So hi, it's Dawn from Dawn's Dirt, Durkameen Gardening, Durkameen Homesteading, Durkameen Politics, Durkameen Religion, Durkameen anything I want it to mean, because this is my show. And so I'm super excited about today's episode. I've got Jason from Sow the Land, and you are a homesteader from North Carolina, and super excited to have you here. We were just chatting before we jumped on here about what you do, and it sounds like you do a little bit of everything. So welcome here and tell us a little bit of what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. It should be fun. We started out as a homestead, I guess you could say, with my family, which is my wife and daughter. And currently, we're on 14 acres. We're kind of in the mountains of Western North Carolina, and we moved here. We've been here about 3 years. And then let's see, we have a 72-foot greenhouse. This is currently what we're doing now. 26 turkeys. Let's see, about 8 pigs. And we just finished we do pastured poultry as well. We just finished our last batch recently. And we just started trying to get into we're transitioning to like homestead to farm, actually growing more than what we need and seeing if we could make a little bit of side income doing that. And then we've been doing workshops, like teaching people how to do stuff like butcher chickens, processing pigs. What else? I've done build workshops, how to build like chicken coops and stuff like that here on the farm. And then all the while, also, we have our own YouTube channel that we document everything that we're doing. And we've been doing that. So we've been doing this lifestyle since 2016. So it's been a journey for sure.
So you're the picture perfect homestead. You've got a little of this and a little of that, and you're educating and you're building community and teaching others how to do it through your YouTube channel. I love it. It's amazing. We need more. I really feel like we as society need more of this. Farm to table, know where your food comes from, know that your chicken was alive. And then, I brought some chickens to farmers markets recently, and I brought
live chickens.
live chickens. I've live chickens, and then some, and then I've always got my meat chickens in the freezer. And sometimes people will walk past my booth and they'll be like if I missed a week bringing live chickens, they'll be like, "Where's the chicken?" And I'll open up the freezer and they're like, "Oh." So, it's just a joke, but the thing is, it's reality. And so there's been a few kids come around, and I'll ask the parents, like, "Are we okay to have a conversation about this?" "Yeah, we're okay to have a conversation about this." And we have a conversation about where chicken comes from and where your eggs come from, and about farm life and things like that. It's just so important. So what made you get into homesteading? Are you sitting on a farm or homestead that could be making you real money? Tired of guessing on how to market your products? I owned a 36,000 square foot greenhouse. I ran 2 farm to table stores. I had 30 people on payroll. I brought in $2.5 million in gross revenue in 2020, selling farm goods directly to customers. Now I teach farmers and homesteaders how to make money and save money off the land they already have. Whether you're selling eggs, beef, produce, baked goods, or anything in between, if you want to get into direct marketing and grow your sales, I'm the girl for you. Stop leaving money on the table and start putting it into your bank account. Join me at Dawn's Dirt Business Coaching, and let's make your farm pay you back.
Yeah, so we moved out here in 2016. We started this lifestyle in 2016. Prior to that, me and my wife and I, we are from Los Angeles area, which is totally night and day of what we live now compared to what we used to live. But my wife, she was in the fashion industry. I was had an office job, desk job. I was a computer drafter for 17 years, and we grew up. We're born and raised in just outside of LA, like our whole lives. Never lived anywhere else. All our families from out there. We all, everyone kind of lives pretty close to each other. And so I just turned 30 years old. I think it was like in 2010. I was diagnosed with cancer, and I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that right there was the reason why we live this lifestyle now. It just kind of snowballed into what we're doing today. And, we didn't grow up around farming or even growing one tomato plant in the backyard. That wasn't even a thing. I don't think we even knew anyone who had a garden growing up or nothing. We just had grew up standard American diet, I guess you could say. And as soon as I got cancer, it was just kind of like, whoa, like it was just unexpected. And, I did 6 months of chemo and that was it. I've been in remission ever since. And, but it was during that time was where we just started questioning stuff like, what should we be eating? What should we be cutting out? Started reading labels and back of, at the grocery store, stuff like that. And like started going more gluten free and, all these things. And then we started talking about, hey, the only way we're going to know if what's in our food is if we grow it ourselves. That's really the only way. So then we're like, okay, well, how do you do that? I don't know. We had a little backyard. We had a house and we had just got married and we, we bought some plant starts and threw them in the ground. And, after growing that first tomato plant, all of a sudden you want to be a farmer or you feel like a farmer, and so it was, it's just very satisfying to grow that first tomato or cucumber plant. And then it kind of went from there. Built some raised beds and put these plant starts in the ground. And I mean, it was pretty amazing. And we started to figure out how to can food, like make pickles and stuff like that. And we really fell in love with that. And at the same time, questioning what's in our food, we're kind of questioning our lifestyle and questioning our own careers and our jobs and do we really love doing what we're doing? And so we would kind of joke around like, we had some raised beds in the backyard. We're growing a little bit of food and we started joking around like, oh, it'd be cool to maybe if we had some more land, we could have chickens and maybe we could grow our own meat, stuff like that. And it was kind of like a joke that we would joke around and say, yeah, that sounds like it would be cool. But we lived in LA area, so it was like there was no land out there, and we felt like we needed land to do those things, just because we really didn't know anything about it, and just accept what we see in magazines and a pretty picture on Instagram, right? And so we would kind of joke around, and was a process of 6 years after I got cancer, where we started to live more minimally. We went, pared down to one car, got rid of TV. We had massive debts from our student loans that we'd try to, pay off and all these things and getting rid of stuff in the house that we didn't use. And slowly we started getting rid of things and still kind of talking about this, hey, we should go find some land somewhere, but still kind of joking too. Didn't think that would actually happen. And then so slowly we're just getting rid of stuff. We had our daughter at the same right around that time, and nothing mattered. What mattered is our health. It mattered of just being healthy and happy and together as a family. And so I remember, things started to disappear in the house, because we were getting rid of it, either donating or selling it. And I remember one time, or one of the last times, we pretty much just had like a couch and our kitchen table in our house. Like we looked around, and we're like, man, we got rid of a lot of stuff, and couches we didn't never sat on, stuff like that. And we said, okay, if we sell this kitchen table, then we're not going to have anything left to sell, and we're not going to have anything to eat on. So I think we're pretty serious about maybe finding some land somewhere. And so we sold that kitchen table, and then shortly thereafter, we sold our house. And that was our first house that we purchased together. And the plan was my mom lived like on the next street over. So it was kind of like we were going backwards. It took a lot, mentally of like, it feels like I'm kind of like a loser here because I'm moving back in with mom, so all three of us, my daughter and my wife, and we moved back in with mom. And the plan is we're going to live with mom for a year while we go look and see if there's any land in California or LA or anything like that, and we weren't sure what that looked like. And so at the same time too, like my job, like I was kind of getting tired of my job. 17 years of doing the same thing over and over again. And at that time, my wife, she had already quit her career and just to be a stay-at-home mom for our daughter. So she was already home, but I kind of wanted out of my job, and I just didn't know how to do that. We kind of wanted out of. Well, we kind of wanted to stay in California because that's where all our family was, and we're just like, we're not gonna. The reality is our family's here, and we don't know. We've never lived anywhere else before, so we just don't know where places are. And so that whole year after moving in with mom, we kind of vacationed in different places, just to kind of see how areas were. And, we went to Arizona, New Mexico, and beautiful places. But I was like, well, what am I going to do for work? I still have this office job, which was a great job, and so then we knew a family that moved out to the Asheville, North Carolina area, which is like in the mountains. And so they were kind of doing what we're thinking about doing, kind of homesteading, kind of growing your own food and stuff. And they would tell us about this area, and like a lot of people are doing that out here. And so we went, and the furthest east we've ever been was New Mexico. So we just vacationed out there for like a week, and we really fell in love with the area. I think because it was just the weather was so different than California. It's very green. There's water. The seasons. I mean, honestly, you kind of fall in love with the romantic side of country living. So then we came back home, and we didn't look at land. We just kind of hung out just to see how things were, and we really liked it. And so 6 months went by, and we still hadn't done anything, and we're like, well, if I scour the Craigslist or the internet on land, and we didn't know where things were, like we didn't know the area because we never been. So it's hard to do that. And so we're like, well, the only way we're going to know is if I need to go down there and look at properties. And so my wife trusted me enough to go down on a weekend. I flew back to North Carolina, and on a weekend, I probably saw, I don't know, 15 properties, and just went there and went property after property and just looked. And we had a, certain list of things that we wanted. And also I didn't know what I was going to do for work. All I knew is we wanted 1.5 acres. I think we had this idea of a homestead needs to be 1.5 acres, because I think we were at the grocery store and I seen like a Mother Earth News Fair magazine or something, and it said like the 1.5 acre homestead, had a pretty picture and like a cow and chickens. And I don't think it was even a real picture. It was just kind of like a painting of a picture. And I thought, that's it. That's what we need. And so we ended up finding it was a vacant 1.5 acres that was sitting there for a year, which is unheard of nowadays. But back then it was overgrown. It was a single wide mobile home. It's fairly close to town, which we wanted in case I needed to find work or something. So we bought it, and we came home, and still we had this. So we bought the 1.5 acres, but it was like, but what am I going to do for work? Are we just going to leave? And I tried looking for work out here from California, and it just wasn't happening. I wasn't finding anything. And so I thought, well, I could just quit. We could just quit and just leave and see what happens. And that's what we ended up doing. And it was such a huge, huge, huge leap of faith for us. And, telling our family that this is what we're doing. And they were all super supportive. And still, I think they were kind of like, you guys are crazy. Like, what are you guys doing out there? Because there was no family, no friends. We just left. And, we sold most of our stuff. And, our daughter was 4 years old at the time. So it was just us three, and we left to start, our goal was to figure out how to work for ourselves. Maybe start our own business. I don't know what that looked like. I don't know if farm. I think back then it wasn't really like I wasn't. The plan was we're not going to farm. And that wasn't really the plan. It was just we're just going to farm for ourselves. Have some chickens, grow a garden and stuff, and figure out some kind of business where I could stay home and we could work together as a family on this business. And still didn't know what that looked like. And you know, I think it was before we left, we had this decision, right? Like, because we were trying to get out of debts, but we had so much student loans that, with the sale of our house that we had in California, we had this decision to make where we had enough money to pay off all of our student loans from that sale of that house, and we'd be 100% debt free, or we could make this move and try to live this dream that we have. So I was like, well, it sounds more fun to go live this dream than to pay off these student loans. And I felt like the momentum was there. I felt like we just kept on getting these green lights of like, yeah, you guys need to go. You need to go. And we talked about it so much, and we wanted it so bad that if it took for me to leave a job and with nothing waiting for me, then that's what it took. And we're like, well, if it's meant to be, we could find work, we're just gonna go.
The one thing I'm hearing when you're talking here is like you left everything. You left the city life, you left your student loans, you left your job job, you left it all behind, and you moved clear across the country to go and start something brand new. That's already being a farmer. That's already taking risk and
Mm.
taking, like, let's do this. Let's sow the new seeds of our new life to see what grows and see what comes of it and see if we can harvest something. That is
Oh
the
yeah.
epitome of what a farmer does.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I never had anyone say that before, but yeah. Yeah, but like at the time you're just like, man, we're scared to death so bad. But yeah, I agree. And it was just a leap of faith of everything was gonna be okay. And um and the goal was just to grow food for ourselves and just work together and figure out what to do as far as work and be healthy and somehow we've been doing that ever since. Um, Now it was maybe about a year after, well, when we first moved, family was still like, they were very supportive, but still they were just kind of like questioning stuff of like, what are you guys doing out there? And so I would send them little clips of videos with my phone of like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what our daughter's doing. We started this garden. We got some chickens, stuff like that. And after a while of doing that, and that gets old, and so then I thought, well, why don't I start my own YouTube channel, and then I could just post stuff on there, videos for mom and grandma, and they could see what we're doing whenever they can. And so after about a year, I started our Sutherland YouTube channel, and then that um, other people started watching, people we didn't know, and which was amazing, and I mean it kind of grew to what it is today, and I've been doing YouTube since then, and we're almost at 300,000 subscribers, um, and yeah, doing that and other things just to try to make everything work. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, amazing. So, yeah, like I just love that you're entrepreneurial. Really, that's what it is. You left your job that was unfulfilling, not filling your cup, not filling your soul, not fulfilling your family. You go to a job, you leave your house in the morning, go do whatever it is in an office, I'm assuming, to come home to just get up and do it all over again. Whereas on a farm or, homestead or you're with your wife, you're with your child, you're with your family, you're touching the soil. There's problem solving. I mean, I'm sure not everything's gone perfect for you, but
right.
you know, you're doing something different all the time, and you're not just sitting stagnant, sitting in a computer screen all the time. And then you're also using your skills with the computer. I mean, you were helping me earlier with my computer because I know how to farm. I don't know how to do the computer thing very well. Um, but like using what you have, the talents that you're given to create a beautiful life for you and your family. So I
Yeah,
love it.
I mean, and we've never been like entrepreneurial. I never thought of us being that ever. I mean, we were always told go to college, get one good job, and that's all you need. And that's what we did. And so I never was like had my own business before or or anything like that or worked for myself ever. Not until we moved out here, and it was almost became a necessity. It's like, okay, what are you gonna do? You better figure it out. And then also out here meeting so many people that don't just have one good job. I mean, I would say majority of people that I've met out here in this whole many years that we've been here now, that everyone's entrepreneurial. Like they're all just kind of doing different things to make everything work. And that we were super inspired by that, and just meeting people in real life that are doing it. Multiple jobs, multiple things, and they're just making it all work. And that we're inspired by that for sure.
Takes a different mentality. Like I don't know if you know much of my history, but I had a 36,000 square foot greenhouse. I did 20 acres of garden. I had 35 ewes. I had farm to table stores. I did the whole thing. And I had to sell out a year and a half ago. And I took my first job in 20 years where I went to, it was an agricultural store, but a fairly significant size one. And I was told, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. And I'll be honest with you, my first job in 20 years, I got fired because my brain is just wired so differently. I don't know how to just go in and do what I'm told. I think outside the box. I question, I problem solve, I do all the things. And so, yeah, to go from that to, or from my own business to that is just, it's a rough go. And with entrepreneurialism, and I think this is where now I'm going to bring it a little bit political. I don't know where you fall politically, and it doesn't really matter, but this is just my opinion. I feel like if we as society, we the people can be the change. And so if we start working with one another, with our communities, our neighbors and our friends, selling food and growing food and bartering and trading and, having a side gig, and I've got a painting business and you have a mechanic shop, and we need it back to bring it all back in our society to small, our small communities, our people around us, and I feel like that's what you've done, or am I out to lunch?
No, yeah, I totally agree. I would totally agree. I think that's where it's all about. Just working with your neighbors, and everyone has their own talents, like you said. And I might not do one thing, but I know somebody who does. And if we could share it that way, or even barter. I mean, we've done that quite a bit as well. And yeah, I mean that's one of the things that we were craving too, is community. Just that smaller, tight knit community, and I think we have developed that over the years. And now we have great friends out here that yeah, that we hang out with and stuff, and we work together as well. And now our family loves visiting us because we all have all the good food.
You have the good food, not the grocery store.
Yeah.
I love it. So if you could give advice, so if you could go and talk to yourself back however many years ago and give yourself some, so like it sounds all positive, but I'm sure there's been some bumps and negatives along the road. So, and hindsight is always 2020. So if you could talk to yourself back then, or if you could talk to one of our listeners listening who goes, I'm in a job, I hate it, I want to grow my own food, I don't love the system, I want to build community, I want to do what you did, like, they're hearing your story and they're going like, how do I do this? First of all, I'd hired Don, the homestead coach. Um, but what would you say to someone? What would you say to yourself back then? What advice would you give?
um, I would for sure tell myself to start doing more things where you're at. As far as if you want to grow more food, well, start where you're at. I think that's one thing I did not think about, because we had a decent sized backyard back then. I mean, there was a lot more things that we could have done. I mean, we could have done a whole market garden. I mean, in the way, we learned so much in the past years that I know we could have done a market garden back then in California, and front yard, backyard growing, stuff like that. And I think back then I really didn't. That never came in my mind. And so I would say do more of. There's more things that you could do on small land, or if any land. You don't even have to have land. Geez. I mean, if you have friends in the family who have a yard, like you could borrow their yard, stuff like that. I wish I would have done more of. And then also Man, I think in a way you kind of have to be all in. You kind of have to, if it's something you really want to do, I don't think you can be like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like you kind of have to just go all in and just be 100% like, let's go do this now. And you might fail like big time, but you're gonna learn a ton. And you got to think of it. It's not gonna be. It won't be a failure because it would be like you tried, and the next thing you do, you're gonna learn from that first thing, and then the next thing might be the thing that works. Um, and I think just
That's a,
yeah.
oh,
No, go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say that's an entrepreneurial mindset, you know, that you just try it and you fail and you try it and you fail and you get and the grit and the tenacity and you know, try it and fail. One of my favorite quotes is, you know, you don't have valleys without or you don't have mountains without the valleys. And so you need to go through the things in the valleys to learn and to, you know, become sharper and to the mistakes is where you grow, and then the mountain is what you climb. Like, yeah,
Yeah, and then
for
don't.
sure.
And then, I mean, early on, I was saying yes to everything. I mean, you gotta. I think you have to say yes to everything too, because before I was like, I wasn't sure what I was gonna be doing, so I wasn't sure what I liked. I mean, I was used to an office job, so I didn't know how to really build anything. Um, I mean, I always built something on the computer. It wasn't like physically. So, just saying yes to everything that came my way, I think is important for people because in that, I think I found what I really like doing and what works. And in many ways, I'm still saying yes to a lot of things, like things that I've never done before, but I'm going to say yeah to that because I've never done it and it scares me to death, but I'm going to try to do my best here and get it done.
I can identify with that. Like, I was
Hmm.
raised on a farm. I was raised growing food for people. That's all I knew. When I was 5 years old, I wrote a little story, Dawn's Greenhouse. I predicted my
Wow.
occupation
Yeah.
when I was 5, right? And it's what I love and it's my passion. And I moved off the farm and I got a piece of land out. I don't own my land. It speaks to your point of do what you can where you're at. I live in a mobile home right now. I'm renting land and I'm doing, you know, 30 grand worth of chickens this year because you're just doing what you can in the little space you have. Like, I couldn't agree with your points more. You do what you can with what you've got and you're learning when you're not working a job. Sometimes a job is not fulfilling. I was hoping my job that I got last year would fill my cup and fill my soul. It sure did not. It just felt stifling and whatever. But when you have, you know, your own gig, when you're an entrepreneur and you have your own irons in the fire and you're doing your own thing, it just fills your cup and it doesn't feel like work. Like, do you work or are you just mostly having fun?
Yeah, it's all fun. Every day is Saturday. No, I mean,
Right?
I mean, yeah, yeah, it's a lot of work, right? Like it's a lot of work for sure, but it's work that I really want to do, and it's more fulfilling work. I think that's important. But definitely a lot of work. But it's all hard. It's hard work. Honestly, it's hard work, but it's more fulfilling. Um, it was pretty easy just going to an office job and just sitting down all day. I mean, looking back at it now, I mean that's pretty easy, right? But it wasn't fulfilling, and I was willing to do the hard things. And sometimes, even now, like there's something hard that I need to do, where maybe mentally, like I don't really want to do that thing, like digging a hole or putting in a fence post or something. And then I tried to remind myself of how I felt working in an office. Like I wanted to be the guy digging the fence post. I wanted to be the guy out there digging a hole. Like I didn't want to be in the office. So sometimes I have to remind myself of like, remember you felt that way? Well, now you're doing it. And like now you have to do it now.
And with everything, like there are pros and cons. Sometimes you have to do what you got to do. I mean, I am sitting here touching a computer right now. I'm trying to build an online business. I'm touching a computer, teaching other people how to grow food, so I'm doing what I have to do. I don't have to like that part, but I really like the food part. I really like the
Yeah.
education part, and I really like the helping people part. Yeah. So I've always said too that I would rather I would rather work for $5 an hour on my farm than $200 an hour at an office in the city someplace. Like it just, it's not the money that drove me. It was for me, it was my customers, honestly, that drove me the most. I loved my customers
Mm.
at farmers markets and hugging people and, just seeing the babies grow up, seeing the children run up to my booth at a farmer's market and going, I want your tomatoes. I want your tomatoes. They'll even grow tomatoes in their own yard. And some of the moms would say, my kids like your tomatoes better than the ones that we grew in ourselves in our own yard, right? So it's the relationship. It's
Yeah,
just that's
totally.
what filled my cup, and I would rather do that than work in an office someplace. Just doesn't drive me. Both are work, but one is fulfilling and one is not.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, can you tell us about specifics on what you've got going on now? So you have a little homestead. You don't actually have a lot of animals and garden and things like that. You just started into the sales portion. Can you tell us about what you currently have and how it's going and what you do with them? Maybe some specifics on what you feed your pigs or a day to day. Can you tell us a day to day on your homestead?
Yeah, so we did. So I think we're doing 250 meat chickens this year, which is the most we've ever done in one year. Usually, we always have done it for ourselves. Maybe we do like 100 or 150. And then in the past we've always done workshops. We've always, I think, for the past 6 years we've done chicken processing workshops, which we will have maybe 5 to 10 people here at a time, and then we'll teach them how to butcher a chicken.
Do you charge for that?
We do. Yep. Yep.
Perfect.
Uh, and then, I mean, we've had people coming from flying in to take a workshop.
Wow.
Where because they're like, I don't know anybody who's doing this where I'm at. Like one guy came in from Utah and he's just like, I don't know anybody doing this where I'm at. And they've seen that, they might watch us on YouTube and I'm talking about it online or Instagram or wherever they see it. And then they're like, well, this guy's doing it. This guy's teaching workshops. And I don't know anybody else teaching a workshop. So I'm going to go fly to this guy and he's going to show me how to do it. Which is great. And so we've done that for many years. And then, so let's see, we did the meat chickens this year. We raised cooney pigs. You guys have coonies out there?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. The smaller farms. That's the thing. The bigger farms have the commercial pigs. And I've known her for years and years and years, Nicola. She does, I think they're coonies. Maybe they're a different kind. I don't remember, but she does pasture raised pork, right? Like,
Yeah.
so the smaller farms do it because the marbling and the texturing is different and things like that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay.
And
So tell us about your pigs.
yeah, and these pigs are super gentle on the land. They are not like a commercial pig at all. These pigs do not root, which is wild to see. If you've never seen that, they graze, it's pretty awesome actually. They are definitely a lard pig, so they do have a lot of fat on them. But they're also better with kids. I mean, if you have smaller kids and you're not afraid for their life, if they go in there with them, like you could pet them. I mean, they could probably be a pet pig too if you wanted them to. We don't have them as pets, but they're just easy going, and we breed them. We have a breeding pair that we breed once a year. So she'll have maybe 6 to 8 piglets. And then we'll keep some for ourselves, and then we'll sell some. We'll use some for workshops that we'll have here in the winter when we're ready to process them. Now, these pigs, they take longer. I mean, maybe like a regular fast growing pig is like maybe 7 months grow out. These pigs, they could take maybe 2 years. But they also, you don't feed them the same. They eat less grain. They're more of a grazing pig, which is one of the plus sides. And I mean, they're fun. We've had them for 3 years now, and yeah, they've been going good. And we do supplement. We'll get I'll buy like a couple just bigger pigs, just because we need more meat. And then we'll raise those out also in between the coonies. But as far as the coonies, they live here on the farm. So we've been raising those, and then turkeys. Last year we raised 18 turkeys, and we sold out of the turkeys. We sold them, which was great. And I really like the turkeys. They can be difficult at first. But once they get a certain age, they're pretty hardy birds. And so this year we currently have 26 turkeys that we're going to try to sell. And then we've been selling the chicken also. And then we have about 40, no, maybe about 30 egg layers. And those egg layers are pretty much just for us, that our daughter takes care of. And we move everybody around. Nobody's stationary. They all have little movable coops, even the pigs. And we use electric netting, and we just move everybody around. When we first moved, we did buy a couple steers that we raised here, and that was the first time with the steers at all, cows or anything. So that was definitely a learning experience, but I would say it was a successful one for us, and we processed them here ourselves, and that was just for our consumption. And it went well, and so we'll probably do it again at some point. That, or maybe sheep. I would love to get into, because now we have the bigger land for it. But yeah, doing all that, and then also filming all of it at the same time, taking care of all these animals, and building. Last winter, I fenced in 7 acres, because what we bought here it was a horse property, so it was just an overgrown horse property that someone used, and we just been kind of renovating it to turn it into a farm, and still doing the workshops and taking care of all these animals and trying to rebuild back the land, the soil, because with the horses, they really trampled on it and impact it pretty good.
Hey friends, on Dawn's Dirt, we get real about growing food, farming, homesteading, living free, and digging into the stuff that actually matters. If you're loving the dirt we're dishing out, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow on your favorite social media platforms. That's how we keep growing this community of badass, soil-covered, chicken-loving, freedom-chasing humans. Like and subscribe to me on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. Come be part of the movement. Yeah, wow. So from moving from California to North Carolina, you've managed to get a little property, and now you've managed to get a bigger property and grow your farm and grow your system. And I love that you are teaching others. I mean, that's what I'm doing too, but like I love that you're doing the hands-on, sorry,
Yeah.
the hands-on approach. You've got your videos, which is amazing and great, and you can learn a lot. And then you invite people in to help and actually get their elbows dirty and,
Yeah.
doing the work of it yourself. Like, that's amazing. And that's entrepreneurial as well. Thinking outside the box. How can I not only have food for my family, but how can I, make some dollars off of this?
Well,
And
I think,
so that's amazing.
I mean, learning over the years, different people have learned different ways. Some people can see a blog post online and be like, okay, I got it. So, or some people need a book. Some people need a video. Some people need it hands-on, and those can be like the baby steps also of getting into it. Like, say you're getting into raising meat chickens. After reading the books and then watching the videos, then it was like, okay, let's take a class. And then after the class, all right, you should be ready.
For sure. And then I take it one step further. I'm like, hire me as your coach. And when something's going wrong, you got me on the end of the telephone saying,
Yeah,
what
there
do
you
I
go.
do? What do I do? Coaching and helping people.
Yeah.
And that part of the community part as well, like it's not easy. That's the thing that people need to understand. It's not all Pinterest perfect, easy. Like you see they're great pages or Instagram posts or whatever, where you got the woman in her pretty dress with her pretty basket full of veggies, but what you didn't see behind it is, pulling the weeds, the hailstorm that came through, the bugs that have like tormented your brassica crop, like that's all the, people are not seeing that side of it. They're seeing the pretty side of it. And so you are bridging the gap between, the Pinterest side and the reality too.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's when we first moved out here, I mean, honestly, that's what you fall in love with first, I think, is the romantic side of it, because you do see pretty pictures and beautiful vegetables and um, cool looking farm animals and stuff. And initially we were kind of looking for that in the beginning. And then when we saw this single wide mobile home on 1.5 acres, it wasn't what we were looking for, but it was there. And I mean, we're like, we could fix this up. And we kind of thought of it as a, starter homestead for us, like almost like this 1.5 acres is going to teach us a lot. And it was never meant for us to just, okay, we're going to buy this 1.5 acres and live here forever. Like, no, it was going to be kind of like, can we actually do this? And can we do it on 1.5 acres? And if we can, then maybe we can graduate to the bigger property. And so, we're there for 6 years and we learned a ton in those 6 years, and we felt like we outgrew that place. And then that's why we moved to the 14 that we are now.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And I can identify that as well. While I was raised in the industry, while I had 43 acres, I had the whole, I did over $1 million in sales just off the farm. I had all that, but it was almost too big, and I had a big team. Payroll was $500,000 one year. Like my farm was too small for the big system
Mhm.
and too big for the really tiny system. So it was kind of in between there. So I sold it all, got rid of everything. Same thing as you. Like I did. No, I didn't even have a kitchen table that I brought with me. I got a kitchen table when I got to this little place, and I'm starting off small again. And in some ways, it's just to prove that I can do it again. That was my first empire. I loved it. I thrived on it. I did very well for many, many years. I was in business from 2007 to 2023. So that's a pretty long track record. And then now I'm just starting small again. It's been really good. And I simplified. Before I was working physically working at farmers markets probably 80 to 90 hours a week. And I'm doing 1 to 2 farmers markets right now. And I'm 44. And I'm like, I physically don't know how I did that because it was too much. Whereas this is just sustainable for me and my girls, my 3 teenage girls and our family. And it's been really,
That's awesome.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe
So
sometimes you have to scale back, um, but and not be afraid to do that either.
for sure. There's been a grieving process with it, but on the other side of this valley that I've been through, because it has been a valley, like selling off my dream whatever, which I loved. I loved my farm. I was afraid of what's on the other side of that valley, but I'm seeing on the other side of the valley here that the mountain is it's going to
Mm.
be even more beautiful than the last mountain was, right? And so,
What
yeah.
what do you sell vegetables, and what else do you sell at the farmers market?
So I don't sell vegetables anymore. So
Oh,
I
okay.
actually I was very strong at it. So I have a non-compete clause here in the province of Alberta. I'm in Alberta, Canada.
Mm.
So I have a non-compete clause. So I'm not allowed to grow and sell vegetables in the province of Alberta for 5 years as my non-compete because I sold my farm, which is great. That's
Wow.
fine. I get it. So I was like, what can I farm? Well, chicken, eggs, and yeah, I had a couple of pigs this year too, just for my own personal use. But yeah. Oh, and I've got a couple of goats now too. I got a goat that I milk every day. So it's
Oh,
super
wow,
fun.
nice.
Yeah, I'm a farmer, right? I'm a farm girl.
Right.
That's what I know how to do. And I had a group of girlfriends over on the weekend, and we had breakfast, and I dug some potatoes because I do have a garden for myself, right? So we dug some potatoes, and we made some hash browns and eggs and bacon from my pigs, and like the meal was from my place,
Yeah.
and that's so cool. Like I wish that for more people. Yeah. So when you eat at home now, you're eating off your land?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I mean, we still buy some stuff, but we're not, 100% or anything. But yeah, but the meat, yes, um, and a lot of the vegetables are for sure. Which is,
For sure.
I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, once you have homegrown anything, it just is not only tomatoes. I mean, anything. It's like you just can't go back. And I mean, I think when you work for yourself too, like I have drank the Kool-Aid, and I can never go back. I will scratch and claw my way if I don't ever have to go back to an office job. Like whatever it takes. Like I'm all in right here.
You'd rather work for $5 on your little farm than $200 at your corporate job. I love it.
Yeah.
That's the mentality of a homesteader or a small farmer for sure.
Yeah, and that has
Yeah,
changed. That changed me like over the years. I never used to think that way, but I
yeah.
just doing the things, it just changes your mindset.
For sure. Well, and your dollar bills can't drive you. Like that's the difference between a farmer and someone else is like it's not about the dollar bills. Of course you need dollar bills in your pocket to pay for the electricity and the few things you can't get at the grocery store, but it's not the money even when I call it my empire. Even when I had my empire, the money did not drive me. The people were my driver, like the bringing food, being able to. I've told this story several times, but I'll just tell it to you. I used to go to the farmers market in Calgary, and there was this one woman, and she would bring me a bag of stuff that she got at the food bank, right? So this is stuff that was given to her from, like, we've got food banks here. Do you have food banks down
Yep.
in the States?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Yeah. So she would bring me her bag of food bank items. So rice and craft dinner and toothpaste. And she would trade me. She had what she had. She would trade me for a bag of vegetables. And I would give her a big bag of vegetables in exchange for her food bank, rice and craft dinner. And we just bartered and we just did what we could. And I miss that woman. I miss being able to do what I could do for my community. And so, yeah,
Hmm.
there's got to be a reason. It's got to be bigger. I feel like if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. And so
Yeah.
maybe now is the time that I'm going to empower people to grow more food in their backyards, raise more animals, have a few chickens. If everyone had vegetables and chickens in their backyard, no one would be hungry.
2 chickens, that's all you need.
Right? Yeah, a few chickens and a garden. So, as we get to the top of the hour here, any last thoughts? Like anything you want to tell, or like where can people find you, or any advice, or just any last thoughts here?
Yeah, we're on you can search for us on YouTube at Sow the Land. We also have our website, sowtheland.com. Um, you know, I don't I don't make it easy for people to buy our meat. That's probably
Okay,
one.
tell us about that.
So we don't ship and we don't do farmers markets.
Okay,
So
how
people,
come?
well, I guess part of me doesn't want to commit to a farmers market, and then also shipping, like for our chicken. I mean, I have to take our chicken to a processor in order for me to ship, which is 3 or 4 hours away from me. So it's like, I have to do more volume to make it more worth it. And then I'd probably have to raise my prices because they charge a lot to do that. Because we process here on the farm. And then if we process here on the farm, they have to pick it up here. So right now it's just people that mainly who buy is people who follow us on social media, and they're fairly close. I mean, although we've had people that live 4 or 5 hours away come and pick up meat, which is great. But at the same time, I think I would sell more if I shipped or did a farmer's market. So it's kind of one of those things that I'm kind of filling out and not sure if I really want to do that, or if I'm okay
Sure.
with just doing a few here and there like I've been doing. So I don't know. So, but they could buy meat on our website and pick up here at the farm. That's how it's been working. So,
Perfect. Yeah. And they can come. They can book their spot for your, how to butcher a chicken day. So
yep.
I
Yeah,
love
we
that.
have all that on our website, and we're also on Instagram, Facebook. We also have online courses of how to butcher chickens and pigs. Yeah, we sell merchandise and everything.
I love it. I love it. I'm so glad that, you came on the show today. I'm so glad that we had this conversation. It's an amazing conversation. And yeah, thanks for your time today. Thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate you. So yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
check you out. Check you out.
Yeah,
So
thank you very much. This is fun. You keep up the good
absolutely.
work too. It's important that what you're doing, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.